So I actually had a very fun evening yesterday, and in spite of how cold it was, yeah, I will say it was fun. But let's talk about that because it was cold yesterday, so naturally that is my low. But here's the thing: what is cold? Because for all intents and purposes, snow was actually melting. Like we were essentially getting rain and water's melting off everywhere and stuff like that. It's really slushy outside. So driving is a bit better. But between that and, again, the cooler temperatures, it's not that it's cold, it feels damp. Like really damp. And I think the humidity is also something to do with it too. But it feels like it's colder than it really is. And nobody likes that, especially when you get to this time of year. But take that aside, I went to holidays yesterday, and that was my high. And it's actually been the first time I've ever actually been to holidays since I was in middle school, and middle school choir had to perform at holidays, which was actually a lot of fun. I kind of wish they did more of that, but they really didn't. But they did have some performances, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And my act of kindness was I gave a few jars of pickles away to some very special individuals. Y'all know who you are. And yesterday was just a really fun evening, and I'm a little, not upset, but I'm a little sad that I was the only one my family went, because my nephews, particularly my youngest one, his bedtime was just far too early. So, I offered that my brother and his wife take my nephews out, but again, the youngest bedtime is far too early. As sad as it is, we have to respect what the parent says. We gotta do that. So, if nothing else, I can definitely talk about some of the awesome things they had. So let's get started. Good morning and happy Saturday, everyone. Oh, actually, before I begin, I don't want to forget. We have Saturday football games now. Hooray! Okay, so I saw what the games were going to be, and I really knew I was going to pick with each and every one. So with the Colts and the Vikings, I'm picking the Vikings. Because, I don't see the Vikings as a threat in any way, especially when my Cowboys beat them 40-3. But the Colts, yeah, that's a game they should win. The Ravens and the Browns, it's easy, the Ravens. Sorry. Deshaun Jackson just came back. Deshaun Watson, excuse me. He showed up just a little bit too late. I guess you could say, yeah. You know what, considering the time of year, I guess it would be kind of appropriate to say he was rather naughty now, wasn't he? And for the Bills and the Dolphins, of course I'm picking the Bills. I think it's about time the Bills clinch the playoff spot. Actually, I do believe they have clinched the playoff spot, but tonight should make it official. And I'm really excited for that. So, Vikings, Ravens, Bills, those are my picks. So 2 purples and a blue. Would you say Buffalo is blue? Some people would say it's red. I know the Giants are blue. Cowboys are, I don't know. But yeah, so purple, and Bills. How's that? Okay, those are my picks. Now I'm going to talk about holidays. You guys, there's a bunch of things to talk about. Considering that I also went to Sparkle a few weeks ago, there are going to need to be some, comparisons, and I'll be able to talk about that here. Foremost, like Sparkle, parking was a nightmare. I actually showed up an hour earlier before it was officially supposed to start. In fact, a bunch of vendors were still setting up, and parking was getting crazy, even then. So, naturally, you do need to prioritize getting to your destination early. That's a given. like Sparkle, the weather was also cold out, but that's a given. There's lots of festive related stuff, of course. Lots of different vendors, of course. I mean, in quite a few ways, this hits a few beats. It does. I mean, even in Sparkle, where Market Street just had Centenary Square, and that was like having like kids courses and carolers sing up there. For holidays, they had stages too, but there was actually two stages. There was one that was doing like straight rock and roll, and another one where like dancing performances were taking place, specifically Irish dancers, which is actually really cool. I love me some Irish music, so seeing a couple Irish dances, that was really nice. I believe is it Dancers Alley that did it? Ah, shoot, I forgot the name of the dance company in the area. I'm so sorry. But the dancers were very good. I may not remember the name of the dance group, but they were very good. I can assure you that. Now there are a few, differences to be sure. I mean, I guess the main thing is with Sparkle and Parade of Lights, because I should also say Holidays had a parade too, but the Parade of Lights didn't happen until a week earlier, so I'll put Parade of Lights and Sparkle together. So they both had their parades, of course, different vendors, and everything was busy, but there's a few differences. For one thing, Sparkle and Parade of Lights just take place solely on Market Street, which is nice. It's one convenient area, but it's a relatively narrow area. Holidays really felt, because it's like Hanover Square and like two other streets. So Holidays felt more spacious, more open. Which, you're thinking, well, Nick, you're outside. Of course it's spacious. True, but I'm talking specifically of walking, because there really were large groups and crowds of people at both events. But I felt that at Holidays was actually more open and spacious. The types of performances and attractions were different. Like, if you were walking up and down Sparkle, there was a lot of people dressed up in Santa costumes, Mrs. Claus costumes. There was a few Krampus costumes there. That was really cool. A few Grinches. Really festive, right? So we have I guess street performers, even though that's not technically what they were called. But at Holidays, the attractions came more from entertaining aspects. Like, there was like a hot air balloon basket that occasionally was like launching the hot air or fire that would normally use a balloon to send up in the air. I'm not gonna lie though, every time, because I stood by it, and every time it launched the hot air, it felt like warm, like refreshingly warm. So that was really cool. There were carriage rides. I don't know if Sparkle had carriage rides. Holidays had carriage rides. Big old horses and everything. That was really nice. But one thing that Holidays had that Sparkle didn't have was they had legit reindeer. Like two big, well, not big, but two real life, pretty looking reindeer. And that was really cool. So I have legit seen reindeer. I actually took a couple pictures of them because they were reindeer. They were so cute. You couldn't pet them though. There was one that really didn't want to be touched, but you could definitely look at them and you sort of ooh and ah, and that was great. That was definitely something I'm glad I saw. And that was actually the reindeer, one of the reasons why I'm so sad that my nephews couldn't come, because they would have loved that. They also would have loved that both Peas Macarons and another place, I forget the name, was giving out free hot chocolate, which I love me some free hot chocolate. That was really cool. Love that. Let's see what else. What else do they have? Actually, in terms of the vendors, I did notice one thing. Because Sparkle easily, here's the thing, for as narrow and sort of, crowd as Sparkle was compared to Holidays, I think Sparkle may have had more vendors. And granted, a bunch of them, and they were the kind of vendors where there was like a whole bunch of places to get like, fried dough and French fries and all sorts of, fair food, which is great. Holidays had some of that too, but it was more like local area food trucks and stuff like that, which is good. That's one good thing about Holidays is supporting. Oh, actually, both Sparkle and Holidays support local. Sparkle is obviously local corning businesses, and Holidays is Horseheads, local Horseheads businesses. But it felt like there were more vendors catered to local for Horseheads than there were for corny at Sparkle, or maybe that's just me. I mean, then again, with corny being, with Market Street being what it was, you don't just have vendors, but you also have lots of different places to go for dinner. I mean, when I went to Sparkle, I met my folks later at Storges. A couple friends of a friend of mine celebrated her birthday at Sparkle at Emilio's. And you have the Cellar, you have Three Birds, you have Iron Flamingo, you have Brews and Brew, Mooney's, like all those places. So you have a lot of places to eat, but you also have a lot of places to eat and walk around. Holidays definitely had that too, but in terms of like more variety, I think Sparkle probably had the edge on that one. Let's see. I can't really think of much else to add to both. I mean, at the end of the day, I really wouldn't say one is inherently better than the other. Because again, I just mentioned both their pros and their cons. From, the parking to the different kinds of vendors to what you can do, walking around, crowds, all that. So there really isn't much I can add in terms of which is, better. Not that I was trying to make it sound like either one is better, but if you were to ask me right now, would I be more excited to go to a year from now? It's hard to say. Because they both have, again, at the end of the day, it really is going to boil down to preference. Because if you live in the city of Corning, you're going to say that, Sparkle and the Parade of Lights is better than Holidays. If you live in Horseheads, Big Flats, or Elmira, you're probably going to think that Holidays is better than Sparkle and the Parade of Lights. Most likely. Or maybe it's the reverse. Maybe people in Horseheads prefer, Sparkle and Parade of Lights, and people in Corning prefer Holidays. That's possible. It's not entirely unheard of. I mean, it's not entirely unheard of. Let's see. I would have to say, well, for one thing, I definitely am glad that they both don't occur on the same weekend. That would be a nightmare. Although theoretically they could, because Sparkle takes place on Saturday, the Pretty Lights also takes place on Saturday, but Holidays takes place on Friday. That's actually really convenient. So theoretically, if they for whatever reason had both in the span of one weekend, it is possible to go to both. Would I recommend you actually try that if that ever happens? Well, actually, who am I kidding? I would definitely try and see how much fun I can have in one weekend. If I look at it as how much fun can I have in one weekend by going out and doing stuff like that, yeah, I would totally do it if they were both on the same weekend. Because again, one's on Friday and one's on Saturday. I would have to say, because here's the thing, I spend every other Saturday with my father. So depending on what specific Friday it was, I'm not entirely sure that holidays would be conducive to me going out. Meanwhile, with Sparkle, and keep in mind, it just happened to be a weekend where I didn't have to be with my dad all day. I had the opportunity to get there moderately early and, see what was going on because it was Saturday. So, in terms of convenience regarding day of the week, I guess Sparkle would be a bit better. I mean, I think if you're a kid, holidays would probably be the way to go. Because there were definitely a lot of kids that I see. There were a lot of kids at Sparkle too. I think I saw more kids at holidays. And the fun thing about, holidays happening on a Friday is there's no school on Saturday. So that's great. I mean, with Sparkle, it's not just kids, but there's also adults. Adults that really want to have a lot of fun. So I think being an adult would be more conducive to wanting to go out and having a nice time with Sparkle. So maybe I'm reading a bit too much into it. I would recommend going to both, no problem. And obviously I'm going to try next year, of course I'm going to try and go to both. I don't know when they're both going to be, but I'll definitely try going to both. I don't know, holidays was fun. I'm totally going to do it again. And plus, since I got there early, I remember where my car was. I went out back home to my folks' place, spent the evening with them, and came back here. So it was a pretty busy, but pretty fun day. And I like that. Just like I hope you all liked this video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. As always, I'm very humble with this video for all of you guys who watch and enjoy for today. And hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And remember, any of you guys want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here. Till then, always have your back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.